Now, don't be like that. The way I see it, we still have a thing or two to teach them.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this series where we're counting down the top Dynasty Warriors characters as of the latest game. Coming in at number 47, we have Xiahou Yuan. Xiahou Yuan is the cousin of Cao Cao and Xiahou Dun, and he served in many of his lord's campaigns until he abruptly perished to the rear attack led by Huang Zhang's army. Before we jump into how Xiahou Yuan has changed over the past 20 years, take a look at the popularity poll to see why he's up here at number 47. In the first popularity poll, Xiahou Yuan receives 286 votes out of a total of 75,000, putting him down at the 74th spot. In the second popularity poll, he shoots all the way up to the 21st spot, and then in my personal rankings, he's down at the 44th spot. So for me personally, Xiahou Yuan's right in the middle of the list. Nothing too crazy where I would jump to play him like immediately, but nothing to where like I dislike him as a character or I wouldn't want to play him at all. He's a pretty cool character. I like his personality throughout the games. He's always the more lighthearted among the trio of him, Xiahou Dun, and Cao Cao, since they're always seen together.
I don't know how long I'll last doing stuff like this. Maybe I should get out of the bodyguard.
Then maybe I'll get you a guard dog like Lu Bu.
No.
And then, of course, when he branches off by himself as a general, he always maintains that lightheartedness, as you'll see with his relationships, as we discuss later on in the video. Before we jump into how Xiahou Yuan has changed since his playable debut back in Dynasty Warriors 2, let's talk about who Xiahou Yuan is for people who don't know. Again, Xiahou Yuan has been in the games of Dynasty Warriors 2. He's also one of the original members of the Wei Kingdom, the Wei Forces, the Wei team. When Cao Cao originally goes to form the Wei Kingdom, when he originally sets out on the Yellow Turban Rebellion in the beginning of the games, Xiahou Yuan is one of the original characters that is with him.
This isn't a new age. This is utter chaos.
Indeed, chaos can be a powerful ally.
And he stays with them all the way up until his death. Xiahou Yuan plays a pivotal role among the Wei Kingdom. He's a big-time general, and he's a big-time leader among the Wei forces and the Wei armies. A lot of the other characters among the Wei Kingdom look up to him and respect Xiahou Yuan's ability and experience and knowledge that he brings to every battle that they go in. Despite being one of the older and more experienced generals, Xiahou Yuan is more social and loose than his older cousins and willing to even crack jokes during battle. Master of the bow and highly confident in his own ability, Xiahou Yuan thinks of every battle as a step in Cao Cao's conquest and will do whatever it takes in order to help Cao Cao succeed in his vision. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into how Xiahou Yuan has changed over the past 20 years among the Dynasty Warriors series. Starting off with his appearance, Xiahou Yuan's appearance remains relatively the same throughout most of the games. The most obvious change through the games, I would say, is that as he progresses through the series, he tends to get more and more heavily armored versus some of the earlier games. And then obviously in Dynasty Warriors 6, he looks a lot different, more of like a tribal, almost beastie, like gruffy type look. Still fits him as a character, still looks, just fine for Xiahou Yuan, but it is quite the difference versus his normal look that he has in all the other games. Can't complain too much about his look. If you were a Xiahou Yuan, fan in the beginning of the series, you're definitely going to be a fan of him now. I think his newer look is definitely a lot better than his older look. I like the armor, the general-esque type look that he has in the newer installments. All right, moving on to his weapon style. Xiahou Yuan, he changes his weapon style throughout most of the games, but it's relatively the same in terms of like which weapons they are. It's just a little bit different depending on which game it is. In the earlier games, Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3, he has the sword, and then in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5, he has a short rod and a bow. So the only reason that they include that he has a club and a bow in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5 is because his charge attack, he pulls out a bow and he shoots it. In Dynasty Warriors 6, he goes back to the sword. It's a bigger sword, very similar to that of like Huang Zhang and other characters of that nature. It was a cloned weapon at the time. Again, a lot of characters that went to the newer series, went to the newer generation, got cloned weapons, and he was a part of that. In Dynasty Warriors 7, he goes back to just the bow, which was okay. It wasn't really that fun for me. I think we covered it with Huang Zhong. It was quite the difficult weapon to use. I think his EX attack made it a little bit better, but again, sometimes you didn't make the characters flinch. They go right through you, they do damage to you, and they end up killing you sometimes. It is pretty frustrating to use, but it was a perfect fit for someone like Xiahou Yuan, who was a master of the bow. And then in Dynasty Warriors 8, he gets the bow and rod, which, you know, he has the short rod again, but this time it can transform into a bow. At the end of every combo, you could, you know, he does the bow attack and it would do a substantial amount of damage. It's a pretty cool, you know, weapon to use, pretty fun, and it fit him pretty well. I think that weapon fit him the best. And then in Dynasty Warriors 9, he gets the twin rods. Again, Dynasty Warriors 9 has a similar problem to Dynasty Warriors 6 with the cloning. And him, Taishi C, and I believe Yue Jin all have the twin rods. And you know what? It fit him decent. I can't complain about it too much. I, again, like the Dynasty Warriors 8 weapon the best. It fit him the best. And the Musou attacks for each game was pretty similar. Can't complain too much about the Musou attacks. I'm pretty sure in Dynasty Warriors 7 through 9, all the Musou attacks are the same. And in Dynasty Warriors 8, actually, if you notice the movement of the rod that he uses, it's actually the same movement that he had in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5. So they brought that back into Dynasty Warriors 8 for him. But I can't complain too much about him with his weapon style. I just didn't like the bow that much. I thought it was, you know, it was okay. The Musou attacks kind of, again, I think compensated for that just because it just didn't do that much damage. His EX attack was also pretty good, but other than that, I think the bow and rod, hands down, best weapon for Xiahou Yuan. And they should definitely stick with that if they, you know, ever go back to unique weapon. All right, moving on to his voice acting now. Xiahou Yuan goes through a lot of voice acting changes, and I can't complain too much about the voice acting. The best voice acting he has, in my opinion, is Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8.
I'm glad to see you're both safe.
I like that voice acting for him, even though in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5, he is voiced by the legendary Steve Blum.
I, Xiahou Yuan, have defeated the enemy officer Huang Zhong.
He's a legendary voice actor that voices a ton of, you know, cartoons and anime and other video games. Very legendary voice actor. Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, I believe, to me, personally, it is the best one for him. All the voice actors do very good at portraying that playfulness that, you know, Xiahou Yuan has among serious situations. He's still serious when it comes to battle and stuff like that, but he was, again, the lighthearted one, the one making the jokes, and just, you know, he always looked like he was having a good time regardless of the situation that he was in.
Hello.
And I really like that about Xiahou Yuan. And maybe in the next list for me, Xiahou Yuan's going to be a little higher for me because I just enjoyed his personality. He was always there to have a good time, and I really enjoyed it. Just made it fun to play through him. It made it fun to watch, and I definitely will change that. But voice acting, can't complain too much about it. The newest one in Dynasty Warriors 9 was okay, but again, I prefer the one from Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8. It just seems to fit him and his personality a lot more versus some of the other voices, but can't complain too much on that. All right, now moving on to his significant battles, his relationships with other officers, and his death. The main relationships that Xiahou Yuan has is going to be obviously with Cao Cao and with Xiahou Dun because he's their cousin. And then, of course, he's going to have a relationship with Xiahou Ba because that's his son. And then I think he has a really close relationship with Zhang He. So starting off with Cao Cao and Xiahou Dun, obviously he supports his, you know, cousin, of course, his lord's wishes and vision. He's there from the beginning. He does whatever it takes in order to make his vision become true. They have a lot of cutscenes. And again, Cao Cao relies heavily on Xiahou Yuan because of the trust that he has in him, and of course the reliance that Xiahou Yuan has shown over the years since the beginning of the Wei Kingdom. Of course, he's going to have that relationship with Xiahou Dun as well. Family, they're cousins. I mean, they're so close to the point where they're even brothers. He admires Xiahou Dun and fondly calls him Brother Dun. Xiahou Yuan had the same respect and admiration for Xiahou Dun that he did for Cao Cao. Pretty much, I would say, the same level. But they were just a little closer because they had more of a, you know, brother relationship, you know, older, younger brother dynamic. Versus that relationship with Cao Cao, who were, you know, they were less of brothers, but they were very close family. And again, he was there for anything that Cao Cao needed and whatever needs to be done from, you know, Cao Cao's point of view. And you can see it in instances within Dynasty Warriors 9 and some of the earlier games as well when Xiahou Yuan, you know, recognizes when he needs to step up and take responsibility for whatever it is. Like they were talking before the defense of Han Zhang, and Xiahou Yuan was, you know, Xiahou Dun was originally like, I'll stay, you know, me and Xiahou Yuan will take care of it, whatever it is. Xiahou Yuan was like, no, I want you to go with Cao Cao. I know how important it is for you to, you know, deal with Guan Yu at that time and everything like that. But Xiahou Yuan, very close with those two. They're all family. They've been together since the beginning of the games, the beginning of the series. Very close relationship all the way up until Xiahou Yuan's death. Moving on to his relationship with his son, Xiahou Ba. His relationship with his son, while rather playful, can occasionally turn awkward as the more outspoken father often makes remarks to the more cynical son, and their relationship appears more like one between brothers than between a father and son. Xiahou Ba obviously respects his dad, and we've already covered Xiahou Ba a couple episodes ago, and we talked about that. Obviously respects his dad, wants to follow in his footsteps, wants to be just like him in terms of, admiration, respect, and of course, a warrior on the battlefield. But their relationship is very limited because of Xiahou Yuan's early demise in terms of when Xiahou Ba became, old enough to be part of the army. But still, they were father and son, so Xiahou Yuan and Xiahou Ba had a close relationship all the way up until his death. Moving on to the last relationship of the Wei Kingdom, we have Zhang He. Zhang He was a officer that was recruited by the Wei Kingdom when they defeated Yuan Shao. He was originally an officer of Yuan Shao. He got beat and became an officer of Cao Cao and was a subordinate of Xiahou Yuan. So a lot of cutscenes around them, all the way from like Dynasty Warriors 4 up into the latest game. They have a lot of cutscenes together. They're always talking with each other. The Battle of Hanzhong, the Battle of Mount Dingjun is where they really solidify that relationship. Xiahou Yuan is amused by Zhang He's eccentric traits and is the only officer in Wei to openly criticize his weirdness. And that's evident in a couple cutscenes and as early as Dynasty Warriors 5. When you first beat Zhang He and Xiahou Yuan is like, hey, why don't you come join us?
You're not too bad. You do look a bit strange, though. Care to join us? Our master just loves the strong and weird types.
At the same time, however, he respects Zhang He's abilities and knows that he is still a valuable ally, as the two seem to be close as friends. Again, all the way up into Xiahou Yuan's death, Zhang He is right there and has a lot of respect for Xiahou Yuan, refers to him as general, and definitely shows a lot of admiration towards him as a character. And Xiahou Yuan reciprocates that feeling, and you can see it among the cutscenes they have. Even though some of them are a little weird, again, it plays into that Xiahou Yuan, playful personality that he had, and just having that lightheartedness that I enjoyed seeing, and people who are fans of Xiahou Yuan, I'm sure, enjoyed seeing as well. And the final relationship I'm going to talk about, and I want to include the significant battles and the death of Xiahou Yuan along with this because it just makes sense to include everything at once, is Huang Zhang. Huang Zhang is a Shu officer, and we covered him a while ago, but he and Xiahou Yuan are rivals because they're both masters of archery, and Huang Zhang is responsible for killing Xiahou Yuan. He's the one that kills him, like legitimately kills him in every iteration of the game. I believe from like Dynasty Warriors, I want to say Dynasty Warriors 4 and on, there is a cutscene in every single game of Huang Zhang killing Xiahou Yuan, except in Dynasty Warriors 6. But in every other game, you see the cutscene of Xiahou Yuan being killed by Huang Zhang. If you watch the cutscenes in the description, you'll see all the different iterations of which Xiahou Yuan is killed by Huang Zhang. But they had a rival, and I would say they had a relationship as well, because it was like they both found somebody who was worthy of their skill. Like, oh, I finally found someone who is worthy to a challenger, a worthy challenger, worthy opponent of someone who's the same skill as them. And that's where the rivalry came from. That's where they had that little rival relationship. He also has a very important role in the Battle of Tong Gate, but it's not as important as the Battle of Mount Dingjun, when he's there literally by himself with Zhang He, Guo Huai, and I believe even Xiahou Ba was there. There wasn't a lot of people defending Huang Zhang at the time. That's why Liu Bei attacks. It was part of Cao Cao's plan to get Guan Yu to isolate himself and to kill him. Unfortunately, they're going to lose Xiahou Yuan in the process. But the Battle of Tong Gate, he doesn't play that big of a role, but he was there to be part of the Tong Gate role. And of course, defeating Ma Chao in battle, which is quite a big deal for someone of Ma Chao's caliber. And that shows you the skill level that Xiahou Yuan has as well. But unfortunately, again, he falls at Mount Dingjun, and that's pretty much how Xiahou Yuan has changed over the past 20 years. I don't really have anything else for Xiahou Yuan here. We've covered everything on how he's changed. We covered his death, his relationships, personality, again, which I really enjoyed. Xiahou Yuan will definitely be higher for me on my list. He's actually one spot lower than Huang Zhang on my list. He would definitely be higher next time. I like Huang Zhang, like I said in my video for him, but I just really like Xiahou Yuan as a character. His personality really gets to me. His weapon style is like okay. If they go back to the bow, I might stay away from him, but I think the rod was great, and I think his personality fits him perfectly. He's like the perfect character in terms of having that lightheartedness, even though he looks like that, you know, gruffy, you know, rough type character. But that's all I have for Xiahou Yuan here, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back for number 46 here real soon. Getting closer and closer to the top of the list, to the more popular characters. Let me know what you think about Xiahou Yuan, if you play him or if you like him. Let me know down below if I missed anything. That's all I have for Xiahou Yuan here, and I'll be back soon. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.